Welcome back, and today we're going to talk about a very select movies, and these are the Carry On movies. So this was a British Institute. I don't know if they will show these because a lot of these films are a bit tongue in cheek, and today's era won't accept some of the things what they got away back then. So for the start of our trip down memory lane of the Carry On films, we start with Carry On Sergeant. Now, Sergeant starred a very early Doctor, William Hartnell in it, and it was where he was trying to. He had a final platoon to win this fallout, and it starred, and then it was a young Bob Monkhouse. So for our next one is Carry On Nurse. This was one of the first ones with the to do with the nurses theme. No, I don't. I think there was only one Carry On Nurse. So that was our next one. And then our next one is Carry On Teacher. This was set around the school where the headmaster was trying at the end of his being the head teacher, and quite a few famous people in there. Not I can't think of many of them. For the next one is Carry On Cabby. Now this was the first one to start to have Sid James in it. So it was one of his first early ones, and I think who else was I can't think of the others what was in it, but quite a few of the regulars was in it. Next we got Carry On Regardless. I can't remember what that was about. That one. And then you got Carry On Cruising. Carry On Cruising was one of the first colour ones, and Sid James was in that one. And then another early one is Carry On Cabby. That was with Sid James and Hattie Yates. And the story behind there was Sid James was running a cabby, company, and Hattie Yates set up a rival one with all women, and it ends up with some thieves holding up they want to get away with some money and that, and they have to race after them. So the next one is Carry On Jack. This is excuse my cough. Carry On Jack starred one of the first ones what starred Bernard Cribbins in it. Because he appeared in two of them. The next one is Carry On Spying. So this was the other one Bernard Cribbins starred in with Barbara Windsor. I think Carry On Spying was one of the first early ones Barbara Windsor was in, and Jim Dale was in it. There is Spies, but there is Useless, and Jim Dale was the one who was trying to give them their information, and Kenneth Williams was in it as well. One of the next we have Carry On Cleo, set all about Cleopatra and that, and then we have Carry On Cowboy. I think this one was with Sid James as a cowboy, and set round the Wild West. And then we go on to Carry On Screaming. Now this was one of the early ones what didn't have Sid James in it. It had the one from Steptoe and Son, and he was like the prince. And there was a rare appearance of John Pertwee. He was like the scientist, and he got killed, and it was set around a haunted house. And what was happening, women was being adopted and turning into dummies and that. And this is the first set of the Carry On films, Volume 1. Now we want to Volume 2, because there was about 30, I think, 27, I don't know. It's quite a lot. Next we have Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head. Now this was set in the time of the French Revolution, and Sid James and Jim Dale was two Englishmen saving the rich from getting the heads chopped off, and following the inspector was Kenneth Williams, and I can't think of the other one, and they was trying to find out who is the Black Fingernail, and the Black Fingernail was Sid James. So for our next one was Carry On, Follow That Camel, and this starred Phil Silvers in it. This was the only time that Phil Silvers starred in a Carry On film. And what happened, Jim Dale joined the Foreign Legion with his buckler, and his fiancée went out to find what happened, because he was set up, and it was excuse me, blimey, man, got the coughs again. So for our next one is Carry On, Doctor. So this is the first one of the Doctor's stories set round the hospital. And then we have Carry On Up the Khyber. That was set in like when the British was reigning India, and they wasn't wearing underwear, but they found one of the guards had the underwear, so they was not scared about it till the end, till they all pull up the kilts and they didn't have underwear. So for the next one is Carry On, Doctor again. Now this had Barbara Windsor in it as a nurse, and a bit naughty things go on in that. And then for our next one is Carry On, Camping. Now this is where Sid James and they go camping. They think they're going to a nudist camp, but in the end it turns out to not to be a nudist camp. And all fun and games and that, and Sid James and his psychic, I can't think who the other person was, chatting up with the girlfriends, but they was trying to chat up these girls, and it ended up with these schoolgirls going off with these hippies and that. So for the next one is Carry On Up the Jungle. So this starred Terry Scott, and he was like Tarzan, because he had his nappy pinched, and he ended up living with apes, and his father was taken prisoner by this tribe of women, and they went hunting for it. And there's trying to think who else was in it. Frankie Howard, he was in Carry On Up the Jungle, and he was in Carry On Doctor, I think, again. I don't know if it. So for our next one is Carry On Loving. This was set round a agency what was getting people love interest is and that. And then for our next one is Carry On Henry. So this is where Henry VIII is played by Sid James and his wives and that. And for our next one is Carry On at Your Convenience. Now this one was all about a factory making toilets and that, and they went on a day trip, and it even starred the the one chap who was in Wrangel and Hopkirk, who played Marty in it. So the next one is Carry On Matrons. This is where Hattie Yates is like the matron of the hospital, and she's causing trouble. So in the end, they sort of give her a bed bath, and Kenneth Williams get their own back on there. And for our next one, it's Carry On Abroad. So this was, they didn't even actually go abroad. They filmed it at the back of the film lot and put all sand and that, and they went to this hotel. What was a disaster. And this is the second volume of the Carry On films, and next we go into the final ones, volume 3, and we start off with Carry On Girls. So this is where there's a contest for girls, you know, a bikini contest that Sid James sets up at his hotel and that, and he has all the girls staying there, and they have a beauty contest, and there are women against it, and all hell breaks out. So for our next one is Carry On Dick, and this is all about Dick Turpin and that, and Sid James played Dick Turpin in that, and Carry On Behind. I'm not sure about that one, Carry On Behind. I can't tell you much about that one. And then for our next one is Carry On England. This is like set in the Second World War, and the training into to fire a big gun, and one of the stars in it is Patrick Mama. He played in a TV series called Target, and then our next one is Carry On. That's the Carry On. This was like with Kenneth Williams and Barbara Windsor, looking back at all the Carry On films and that, because by then Sid James has passed away. And then for a final one is Carry On on the Emir. I can't pronounce that. This was sort of like a bit of a rude one, because there was like rude films, and it was sort of, this wasn't a very good film. This was one of the flops and that. And that's the Carry On movies. So for our next one, we go to the Carry On Christmas ones. And they did a free Carry On Christmas for TV, ITV specials. And the first one was Carry On Christmas in 1969. And it sees Sid James, Barbara Windsor or in a rework of the literary classic Christmas Carol. And it had a bit of a twist, adding characters such as Dr. Frankenstein, Dracula, Robin Brown, and Cinders. This special also featured a scene stolen from Frankie Howerd. So that was the first Christmas one. So in 1970 they did a Carry On Again Christmas, aka Christmas on Long John Silver. Sees the Carry On team spinning their own version of the well-known tale Treasure Island. Sid James stars as Long John Silver and Barbara Windsor in a truly pantomime form played by young Jack Hawkins. So for our next third one, the Christmas Carry On Christmas, aka Carry On Stuffing. This is 1972. This time sees that the cast act out a classic Christmas pantomime, Aladdin, singing both Elizabethan songs and what that goes on in a golden of era. Now for a final one, Carry On Christmas 1973 leads once led by once again Sid James, this time as the department store Santa. The Carry On team journey through the ages to see how Christmas was celebrated by cavemen, Robin Hood and his merry men, and also the First World War torn. And this is the Carry On TV Christmas specials. And then in the 90s, I think it was 92, they decided to remake, remake a Carry On Columbus. And there was a couple from the original lineup, Dale, Jim Dale, I forget who else was in it. So it's excuse me, it is 1492, and the Savage of Turkey controls overland trading from the Far East to Europe. Christopher Columbus looks to make his fortune, presents the King and Queen of Spain a financial and excited to find the new sea route to India. In this best type tray of the original Carry On series, this historical fiction features the cream of comedy capers. It starred Jim Dale, Maureen Litton, Rick Mail, Nigel Pale, Alexis Sale, Julian Clary, and a host of others. It's sure to be a well-crewed voyage, so why not grab a oak and set sail with the biggest bunch of archeries who ever put to sea. And if you can see at the back some of the pictures of them, and they are on the front, and this was like a reboot, but it was quite a good one. But it wasn't the same because the other people who starred in it is Bernard Cribbin starred in it, and Jim Whitfield, Richard Wilson from One Foot in the Grave, John Pertwee as well. And this was the very last one ever done in the Carry On films. It was like a remake, trying to get the Carry On films off again. So this is where I say a fond farewell and my little trip down memory lane about all the Carry On films and that through the years, and how we've lost all of them, because not many of the original, I think there's about one, and I think that is, I might be wrong, but I think Jim Dale is still the only one still alive, because a lot of them have passed away and that. And this is where I end my little trip on the Carry On films, and I'll say a fond farewell to you all. And if you enjoy this little trip down the history of the Carry On movies and that, I hope you join me again for more talks and adventures, and I'll bid you farewell for now, and take care of one another, and goodbye for now.